When Clara Santos moved from the Philippines to Singapore, she carried only 2 suitcases and a heart full of dreams. At 26, she was a nurse, hardworking, polite, and known for her calm smile. Life in Singapore was not easy, but Clarice believed that kindness and effort could open any door. One evening, while volunteering at a private medical charity, she met Henry Lim, a widowed millionaire in his early 50s. He owned a chain of luxury clinics and was instantly drawn to Clarissa's sincerity. Unlike the glamorous women he often met, she was simple, the kind of woman who listened more than she spoke. Within months, Henry began visiting her at the hospital, bringing lunch boxes and flowers. Soon the gossip spread. The humble nurse had caught the attention of one of Singapore's richest men. Their relationship grew fast. Henry found in Clarice a sense of youth and care he had lost years ago. She, on the other hand, saw a man who could give her the comfort and security she never had. Within a year, they were married in a small but elegant ceremony at Marina Bay. Photos of them, smiling, went viral on social media. The perfect couple, a symbol of love that crossed age and class. But behind that smile, a darker truth was taking root. Clarice loved the life Henry gave her, the mansion, the cars, the designer clothes, but she began to feel like a bird in a golden cage. Henry's controlling nature slowly surfaced. He checked her phone, questioned her outings, and reminded her that everything she had was because of him. "Never forget where you came from," he once told her coldly. Clarice felt humiliated. She started hiding parts of herself, creating small lies to keep her freedom. A secret bank account, a new SIM card, quiet messages to a man from her past, Rico, her former boyfriend from Manila. He had once promised to marry her, but poverty tore them apart. Now he was back in her life, whispering promises again, this time mixed with greed. As weeks turned into months, Clarissa's frustration deepened. One night, Rico messaged her, "You don't need to live under him forever. You deserve everything he has." Those words stuck in her mind, like a seed of temptation. The next day, while sorting through Henry's office papers, Clarice noticed something. A $10 million life insurance policy, with her name listed as the sole beneficiary. That night, Clarice couldn't sleep. Her heart raced with fear and excitement. The thought was terrifying, yet thrilling. If Henry were gone, she would be free. She would be rich. She would finally control her life. And that's when the plan began to form. Clarice spent the next few weeks studying every detail of Henry's routine. She learned when he left for work, how he took his medicine, what he ate, and when he usually drank his glass of wine before bed. Her nursing background made it easy. She understood doses, chemicals, and how the human body reacted to them. But she needed to be careful. Henry was smart, and his business empire had made him suspicious of everyone. Clarice pretended everything was normal. She smiled at breakfast, kissed him goodnight, and went out shopping with his credit card as if life was perfect. But every action now had purpose. She began collecting small amounts of a sedative drug from the hospital, enough to go unnoticed. Rico, from Manila, helped her through encrypted messages, sending her ideas about how to make the death look natural. "An accident," he wrote, "or maybe a heart attack." No one questions that at his age. Still, fear haunted her every step. She wasn't a murderer, not yet. But every time Henry snapped at her or treated her like property, her guilt turned into anger. Why should I live like a servant when I could live like a queen? She asked herself. The thought became an obsession. One stormy night, Henry invited a few business friends for dinner. Clarice played the perfect hostess, serving expensive wine and laughing at their jokes. But when the guests left, Henry accused her of flirting with one of them. His voice was cold and sharp, full of disgust. "You embarrass me," he hissed. That night, Clarice cried in silence. Her tears slowly turned to determination. The next morning, she texted Rico, "Clarice, I'm ready." "Rico, then make it happen." She began by adjusting Henry's medicine. Just a tiny bit. A change so small it wouldn't be noticed. Over the next few days, she mixed the sedative into his evening drink, slowly increasing the dosage. Henry started feeling dizzy and weak. He thought it was stress. Clarice, with her gentle voice, told him he needed rest. She acted like a devoted wife, caring for him, checking his temperature, pretending to worry. A week later, Henry decided to take a short vacation to their beach villa on Sentosa Island. "Just the two of us," he said. Clarice smiled. This was her chance. At the villa, she played her role perfectly. Romantic dinners, candlelight, and soft music. On the second night, Henry drank his usual glass of red wine, unaware that this time it was stronger than ever. As he grew weak and disoriented, he tried to stand but collapsed. Clarice rushed to his side, holding him as he gasped for air. For a brief moment, she hesitated. But then, she whispered coldly, "You said I should never forget where I came from. Now you'll never remember where you're going." Henry's breathing stopped minutes later. Clarice's heart pounded, but she forced herself to stay calm. She made the scene look like a sudden heart attack. Then, with trembling hands, she called the emergency number, pretending to cry. "Please, my husband. He's not breathing." When the police arrived, Clarice played the role of the devastated widow, perfect in every tear. But what she didn't know was that the truth had already begun to chase her. The next morning, news spread across Singapore. Millionaire Dr. Henry Lim dies of sudden heart attack. The story flooded the media. Tributes, sympathy, and shock. Clarice appeared on camera with red eyes and a trembling voice, thanking everyone for their support. She looked every bit the heartbroken widow. Behind closed doors, though, she felt a mix of grief and triumph. Her performance had been flawless, or so she thought. A week later, Henry's funeral was held at an exclusive cemetery. Dozens of reporters gathered, but none suspected foul play. Clarice stood beside the casket in a black dress, a single white rose in her hand. When the ceremony ended, she returned home, to the mansion that was now hers. She poured herself a glass of champagne and whispered, "We did it, Rico." Rico replied with a voice message, "Now wait for the insurance to clear. Don't contact me until it's done." Everything seemed perfect, until Henry's lawyer, Mr. Tan, called her to finalize the estate documents. "Mrs. Lim," he said kindly, "Henry's insurance company has requested a standard medical review. It's just routine for high-value cases." Clarice smiled and agreed. Inside, her stomach tightened. 2 weeks passed. Then came the knock on the door. 2 detectives stood there, Inspector Ko and Detective Mei Ling. Their tone was polite but probing. "Mrs. Lim," Ko said, "we're rechecking some details about your husband's last days. Just procedure." She invited them in, her hands shaking slightly as she served tea. They asked harmless questions at first. Henry's health, his medications, his last meal. Clarice answered carefully, rehearsing her story. But when Detective May asked, "You're a nurse, correct?" Clarice's smile froze. "Yes," she replied softly. "Then you must be familiar with sedatives like lorazepam?" May continued casually. Clarice blinked. "Of course. It's common for anxiety." The detective nodded, taking notes. "Interesting. The autopsy found traces of that in his system, higher than normal." Clarice's heart nearly stopped. "Maybe the doctors gave him something?" she offered quickly. Ko smiled faintly. "Perhaps, We'll confirm with the hospital records. That night, Clarice couldn't sleep. Panic clawed at her chest. She texted Rico, "Clarice, they're asking questions. Rico, stay calm. They have nothing." But deep down, she knew the walls were closing in. The next morning, police returned with a warrant to collect Henry's personal items. Clarice watched as they searched the villa. Then something unexpected happened. One officer found a small vial hidden behind the medicine cabinet. The label was partially torn, but it clearly read, "Lorazepam, hospital use only." Clarice's face drained of color. She tried to speak, but her voice trembled. That's not mine." Inspector Coe looked at her, eyes cold. "Mrs. Lim, did you take this from your hospital?" She denied it, but her voice cracked. Coe didn't push further, not yet. He simply said, "We'll call you when the toxicology results are ready." As they left, Clarice sank to the floor, her body shaking. For the first time, she felt real fear, not of Henry, not of poverty, but of justice. That night, she called Rico again, whispering into the dark, "If they find out, we're both dead." Rico replied coldly, "Then you'd better make sure they done single quotes T. Days turned into weeks." And Clarice lived in constant fear. Every sound, every knock at the door made her heart jump. She stopped eating, stopped sleeping. The mansion that once felt like freedom now felt like a cage made of glass. Then one afternoon, the detectives returned. This time, there was no small talk. Inspector Coe placed a file on the table. "Mrs. Lim, we've completed the tests. The sedative levels in your husband's blood were 10 times higher than prescribed." Clarice froze. Her eyes darted to the floor. Coe continued quietly, "We also checked your hospital's inventory. Several vials are missing, and your fingerprint was found on one of them." For a long moment, Clarice said nothing. Her mind raced for excuses, but every lie sounded empty. She finally whispered, "It wasn't supposed to happen like this." The detective sighed. Greed never goes the way people plan. Clarice was arrested that evening. Cameras flashed as she was let out in handcuffs, her designer dress soaked with tears. The news headline the next morning read, "Young Filipina, nurse charged with murdering wealthy husband for $10 million. Insurance." In the courtroom, she saw Rico for the last time, brought in as her accomplice. He avoided her eyes, pretending she was a stranger. Her betrayal was complete, just as his had been. Months later, Clarice sat alone in her prison cell. She thought of the day she met Henry, of the promise of love, of the greed that poisoned her soul. She whispered to herself, "I just wanted a better life." Outside the prison, the world moved on. The mansion was sold, the money frozen, and Henry Lim's portrait still hung in his clinic, a silent reminder that even perfect love can hide deadly secrets. Clarice's story became a warning, a tale whispered in hospitals, shared on podcasts, and told in crime documentaries. She traded love for luxury, and lost both forever.